Let's speak with Alabi John Kennedy, who is a managing partner at Bespoke Business Consulting, on the implications of all this. Good afternoon, Alabi. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Hello, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers.
Let's begin this conversation with you telling us about your thoughts about the decision to lift the lockdown. Do you see this as a right step?
Well, the media landscape in Ghana has been puzzling with the reason why the president has decided to lift the lockdown. But I would like to base my decision on the facts on ground. At the point when the president decided to lock down the country, that's the 21st of March 2020, you could see that at that point, the cases stood at 137 with 4 deaths. Only 4 regions out of 16 regions in Ghana had those cases. And when he did the lockdown on the 19th of April 2020, the confirmed cases stood at 1,042 with 9 deaths. At this time, we could see that the virus has penetrated about 10 regions out of the 16 regions we had in Ghana. Now, these are the questions people are raising, and citizens want to know why the government had decided to lift up the lockdown. But the government is actually finding ways and means to defend its reasons. One of the reasons they said was that they've been able to aggressively undertake and do contact tracing of infected people. They also said they've enhanced the capacity to test almost about 80,000 people, and out of those 80,000, 64,000 results are in, and out of those 64,000, about 2% were positive. So it's highly recommended for them to lift up the ban. They also say they've now understood the dynamism of the virus. So these are the arguments that the government placed and told the people. But people are still scared and said, well, if that's the case, there's possibility that there's community spreading, because when you lock down the country, you lock down the borders as well. So there are nobody coming in to infect anybody in the country. However, the 1,042 cases that you got must be community spreading. So this should inform the reason why they shouldn't lock down, they shouldn't lift up the lockdown on the country. But this is still a debate going on in the country, and the government is actually defending it. However, the Ghana Health Service, they are saying that per their own scientific proof, they would have advised the government to delay a bit before the lift of the lockdown, because they are still thinking there are people out there who are carrying the virus and not showing symptoms. And if this is not taken care of, there's possibility that about 3% of the whole Ghanaian would be infected. And out of those 3%, about 4% could die. So this is what is really going on the media landscape in Nigeria right now, in Ghana right now.
And talking about government's defense now, President Akufo-Addo says that this decision was made because of the impact of the lockdown on several constituencies, especially the informal workers who are considered a very important part of the economy. But are there other plans by the government to cushion the effects of the current situation on these group of people other than lifting the lockdown?
Yes, the government right now tend to understand the plight of the people, and they're trying to make sure that they put in measures to see that this virus does not escalate more than where it is right now. So as part of the palliative, if we would call it, or the measures they are putting in place, is to provide, they actually decided about 2 weeks ago to provide free water for the next 3 months for Ghanaians, to provide about free electricity. Now, the free electricity is in like 2 thresholds. For the poorest of the poor, who use about the minimum megawatt a day, they are trying to make sure that they actually use it for free. However, those who use more than the minimum capacity, 50% of rebates will be given to them, which means those people are actually paying 50% of whatever energy they consume a day. Now, there's distribution of food going on, even before the lockdown was lifted. Those deprived areas, those needy, the headquarters and co, they've actually find ways and means to give them food, areas to sleep, and even in some cases, giving them funds. And these have helped a lot to be able to help control and monitor what is going on with the COVID-19. However, the government is also trying to make sure that the issue of social distancing is actually adhered with. When you go to the markets right now, they've put structures in place to make sure that whatever you are selling is being sold in a proper and in a nice manner. When you look at the structure in the markets, those who are selling yam are selling separately, those who are selling tomatoes are selling separately, and there's so much gaps. The normal 3%, 3 meters social distancing that was mentioned was actually adhered to. So the structures that everything are in place. The National Disaster Management Organization too are also trying to make sure they go into the hinterland where people are not being reached, to reach them and provide the necessities they need. So the government is actually trying and listening to the plight of the people.
Alabi John Kennedy, Managing Partner at Bespoke Business Consulting. Thank you for speaking with us. We'll have to leave the conversation here at this point. An accelerated global economic and health effort is needed to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic in Africa, and that's according to the president of the African Development Bank Group, Mr. Akiomi Additional. The AFDB chief, who made the call via video conferencing with the Corporate Council on Africa, asked multilateral institutions to align and increase their collective efforts towards Africa's debt, manage their ratings, and work together with ratings agencies. And in Kenya, the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee has postponed its next meeting to April the 29th from an initial scheduled date of April the 27th. The committee, which cut the benchmark rate by 1% last month, decided to meet after a month instead of the usual 2 months, citing the need to monitor the economy closely due to the coronavirus crisis. At the last meeting, the committee lowered the central bank rate to 7.25% from 8.25% and reduced the cash reserve ratio to 4.25% from 5.25%. And that's where we end today's program. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo.